Hello guys, my fellow modelers. This is the second part of painting the German soldier with his oak leaf camouflage and his winter pants. Yeah, this is how you're gonna have to do it, and I'm gonna explain you guys nicely the whole thing. So enjoy watching. Let's continue on our figure today. And today we're gonna do the highlights, and then later we're gonna do the shadowing and the highlights of the winter camouflage pants. A bit weathering too, and then we're gonna finish off the figure. So let's start by first that we have to mix some colors. I start with the base color I used. In this case, the flat earth from Vallejo, and I'm gonna mix it with ivory. Don't take total white, because it makes the color a bit weird. So I always use, if I want to do mix a color to highlight, I always use ivory color. So let's start mixing. So I'll put a few drops on my palette. The point is that you have a lighter color than the base color of your uniform. First we mix it up nicely to see if it has the right shade, the right tone. Could be a bit lighter. Yeah, I don't know the exact measurements. It's by view, you know, and also by preference. You can make it a bit lighter, you can make it a bit darker if you feel like. It's up to you. So mix the color nicely up. To paint the highlights, I'm gonna use again my special brush. So this is the brush I'm gonna use, my working horse, the Micro Maestro size 20-0 from Da Vinci. So let's start to the highlighting. Take a tiny amount of paint and pick up the highlights. You see, it's a very nerve-wracking job to do it, the highlighting, because really you have to not to do overdoing with your paint, but a tiny amount, and pick out the details. And always stay calm and focused, because if you want to rush shit up, it's gonna go wrong now. So this is the moment you have to be having steady nerves and stay as calm you can. Of course, mistakes can be corrected, but it's always nice if you can do your stuff in one try without much corrections. You guys can see trying to pick out the pocket. You can notice this is the moment I stop talking, because I need really to concentrate myself to pick out the details and to have steady hands to do your job. So I did the highlighting upstairs already off camera because it was easier to work, but the upstairs is totally finished, so now you can see the example. I use very subtle highlights because I don't want to break down or mess up the camouflage patterns. So, but it will give you an idea. And now we're gonna also continue on his pants, so the bottom part. Now we're gonna start shadowing it. And for this one I use neutral wash gray from Ammo of Make, because it goes subtle and it is not too contrastish on the white winter camouflage pants. So I'm gonna now put this one for the shadowing. First, always shake your bottle very good. Yeah, and then you go where the shadow's supposed to be subtle, because after it you're gonna have a cleaning job to do, and don't go too much, because sometimes if you overdo it, it's harder to clean the thing up. So. Yeah, you have to be a bit subtle with it. Don't put too much, because that will be after it for the cleaning job a bit harder to do. But it's not an irreversible problem if you did a bit too much. So after 10-15 minutes drying, You can do the cleaning job with the odorless thinner. So as you see, it looks very good on the white. And it brings out the tiny details. Of course, you're gonna have to do after this also a bit highlighting. And I'm gonna do also the weathering for you guys, so you can see those things too. So that our figure can become a nice and perfect figure. To give you an example, yeah, this is now without a cleaning job, so and now I'm gonna let this dry and I will continue. So I did already a biggest part of the cleaning up, but this is now to show you guys, to illustrate how I do it. So I do subtle, and in this case, if it is not perfectly 100% cleaned up, it's not a big deal, because you know, white and outdoors it gets straight dirty, and this is illustrating kind of that these pants are worn for a while already, that they're not shiny and new, because war is dirty. That simple it is. So yeah, I'll show you guys like slightly how I clean up, and of course with odorless thinner. This is the way I did it. And now we're gonna come to the weathering part, and that's the most fun part. We're gonna make now a slush, and let me explain you guys what a slush is. First you need pigment fixer. In this case I use the Thailand 502, and of course pigments. A slush is actually, you make your pigments liquid. I'm gonna use for this one Europe Earth from Camo of Make, and Farm Dark Earth also from Camo of Make. And that one I'm gonna apply on the knees and on the lower parts of his pants, to illustrate that he was crawling on his knees, and of course dirt splashes up on below on your pants. So I'm gonna show you guys how to make a slush. In this case we don't need much. Take our pipette, a tiny amount, put it in our palette. In this case we need two wells to use for the lighter and the darker tone. That's something I use very often, those slushes. Also for weathering of your vehicles, it can be very helpful. So I take a bit of my pigment Europe Earth. Don't need much, just that it has that color. Here you go, I add it on the pigment fixer. Now of course you have to stir. But in the meanwhile I will do the darker earth too. Then keep your slush a bit thicker, not too liquid, so it has then some nice texture too. So, but that's all a matter of preferences. You can always add some more pigment fixer to make it look more liquid. So now I'm first gonna mix things up to see, like this here, you see, it's okay, it's not too thick, not too thin, not too liquidish. So now I'm gonna take a very old brush and I cut it a bit, that it is like, yeah, I'm totally messed up. This creates like tiny dots and splattering effects a bit. You see, this is, you can do it with your old worn off brushes to give them kind of, yeah, a second use. You see how the bristles, the hairs are really like messed up, and I, with a tiny scissor, I cut some chunks out, and it gives, yeah, some more texture like this kind of, you know. So we take first the light color earth, the European earth in this case, and we gently dab it like this underneath, gently. See, creating dirty knees. And that's for the base. For the top side, with the darker earth, I take a smaller brush with a sharp point, dab it in my slush, and I go gently on the upstairs of my figure. Not too much, because you don't want it to cover the whole thing. This is to create nice contrasts like already dried up mud and dirty mud. You can correct here always. With that tiny brush you can add some bit more. But make sure you make some contrasts, it will look always nice. You see, two different tones, and later when it dries it will create a very nice effect. If you think you did it too much a bit, like here I think I a bit overdid it, I correct it. So just put a tiny amount of odorless thinner and you can correct it. So kind of most mistakes you do, you can correct. Of course, once you let your stuff dry, then it's gonna get harder. But you see, I'm gonna add again a bit more. Yeah, this is personal preferences. And once it dries, it will create a very nice effect. Up on the downstairs of the pants, you take again your brush, it's subtle, just dab it a bit around. In the beginning you might not see much effect, but once it dries it will show itself out, and it will create some nice, like it's been worn, it's been walking around in the fields for a while with it, so like a nice dirty effect. And this you can do also on his elbows, but this I only do with the white slush, you know, for you civvies out there, civilians. A soldier, when he crawls, he is using also his elbows. But do it very subtle. Once it dries it will show you like some nice dust stain and dirtiness a bit on his elbows. Like, yeah, he was crawling, he's been busy on the field, so. And like I said before, war is dirty, nothing stays shiny, so first thing that goes away is shininess. See, I added them different tones of pigments, and it will create later a nice effect. Now this stuff we're gonna let, of course, dry, and then we reaching our last step. That's gonna be slightly highlighting around it a bit to create those last contrasts, and then our figure is as good as done. See, I'll show you an example. But yeah, now you can't see much till actually it's dry. Then you can see the whole effect of the thing. But this is kind of to give you lads and ladies an idea how to do it. So this is the result after the weathering of the pants are done, like you can see here on his pants below, on the knees. I did already also with the white paint. This one from Ammo. The highlighting on his pants. And kind of the figure is finished. So yeah, this is the end result. You can see a lot of details, a lot of work on it too. I thank you all for watching. Please hit the like button and subscribe to not miss any future video. And I wish you guys all a nice day. Stay all healthy and safe there. So bye and see you next time.